Hello, teachers. Happy to be back again. Thank you for viewing the videos. Thank you for your comments. They're very encouraging. A lot of my friends who are teachers and a lot of my peers are extremely busy these days. They are planning their mocks, their pre-boards, etc., preparing practice materials for their children. So I guess this particular topic is definitely going to come in handy. I've had a lot of requests to sort of create a video and upload as far as the MCQs are concerned. So we've already done a series on MCQs and the do's and don'ts. This is the second tranche in which we are going to talk about the MCQs and the HOTS, the higher order thinking skills. For English, the part A is all about MCQs, right? So we are going to go in a gradual manner. And today we are doing part 1, which is HOTS and competencies, right? Towards the end, I'll tell you what is going to be part 2. Trust me, if you're going to follow all of this and understand, it's a process, right? It's not going to be magical, but if you do all of this, we are in a good space for now. The rest will come with practice, right? Okay. So let's begin. Have a look at this. I think everybody remembers what this is. I quite like this fable. I especially chose this particular picture off the net because of this expression that I see. Anyway, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because I want to tell you that there is no extract or portion that you cannot exploit for creating HOTS, MCQs or questions, etc. So since everybody knows what the story is, let's begin. Look at the first question. What happened after the crow threw pebbles in the pitcher? Okay, look at the next one. Write a brief outline of the crow's actions. Would sticks and twigs have worked if there were no pebbles there? What conclusions can you draw about the crow based on the story? How can this story be viewed as a comment on water conservation? All right. As the crow of the story, what would you share if invited as a speaker to TED Talks? Well, we're moving with the times, aren't we? So when you look at these questions, when you look at number 1 and you look at 5 and 6, there is a marked difference in the level of thinking that the child would require to rise up to or to use to answer these questions, right? So this is remembering, this is understanding, this is applying, you're applying the information, you're analyzing, you're evaluating, and you're creating. So it would be nice if you sort of pause the video at this juncture and have a look at this again. Let me remind you what you already know, but it's always good to validate what we know. If you are looking at level 2, it is understood that level 1 will be subsumed in it. I keep saying this to all my teachers. Understanding cannot happen without remembering. And remembering and understanding together lead to applying, because you need to remember the info, you need to understand that info, and then only you would apply that information, right? And that would lead to analyzing. Evaluating would mean that all these things are in there for the child to be able to evaluate. And finally, when you break it apart, that's creating. Okay, right. Let's move on. Now that I've sort of, set the standard for you, right? Great. Let's move on. Something that you already know, these are our Bloom's competencies. These are our levels. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I purposefully chose the ladder because we are moving up, right? Now, what does this mean in layperson terms? We are all very good with the jargon, but when we are sitting to create MCQs, what does this translate to really, right? So remembering is just facts. Just facts. There is nothing. So it's absolute memorizing, rote. explain those facts. Okay, we've moved up a little, but the information would still be in the text. Use it. So now we've come to applying. Now, all these three as a whole, when you take them apart to examine each portion in detail, that would be analyzing. Okay, you're reasoning it out. Why did it happen, etc. And then when you take all these separate parts and then evaluate or judge, is this better? If yes, why? If not, why? Is this better? If yes, why? If not, why? Right? So all of this together would be evaluation. And then finally, when you put it all together to create a different product out of all the knowledge that you've garnered from here, that would be creation. Right? If you want to sort of explain this concept to your children, what would you say? You know, over here, we would simply say it's a fair bit of a robotic, very basic robotic aspect. You're memorizing the facts, you're explaining this is what the robots do. So, and when you start sort of using it and taking it apart, that would probably sort of, you know, make you a detective, because you're, you know, sort of analyzing the evidence and so on. And then as a judge, when you're sitting there and putting it together, all the knowledge that you've garnered, when you put it together to create something new, so that makes you like a scientist, right? So we could explain it to our kids this way. So we need to go beyond just being a machine, right? We need to start putting in the human element there. And as teachers, that is exactly what we need to remember, right? Moving on. This is what the CBSE says for our competencies from 9 to 12. You can see a lot of analyzing, inferring, interpreting, appreciating, right? And then reasoning, inference, analysis, creativity, right? So we know for sure that this element of HOTS is going to exist in our paper, right? So even in the writing section, there's inference, there's analysis, there's evaluation. Obviously, if you're going to do analytical paragraph writing in 10th, or if you are going to write a letter, a formal letter, based on a situation, you're going to create an article, if you please. It's all going to be analytical because you are going to be given a certain situation. You might notice that the syllabus this year has specific mention of you know, phrases like providing suggestions, problem solving, and so on. All that comes in your analysis and evaluation, right? So there's a fair amount of thoughts. This is what we need to remember, that all this is basically lots. This is exactly where we have stopped ourselves at when it comes to the question paper for a donkey number of years. So CBSE right now has definitely evolved. Standards have risen. There have been a lot of concern as to how the kids are going to cope given the times, etc. But please remember, it's a gradual process. The sample question paper was a wake-up call. When you are faced with the final paper, in all likelihood, there's going to be a percentage of HOTS, right? A percentage of questions that are going to be HOTS based. So we needn't worry, except that it really isn't fair to keep checking how much the child has memorized, right? As a teacher, as an academic, as a proactive person in the classroom, I'm sure you'll appreciate that and move your pedagogical practices accordingly, right? So what did Sir say? This is Bloom. Now, what did he say? This is what he said. So he says, while questions which elicit lower level thinking are important, they are useless. They are useless unless they build towards questions which help kids develop higher order thinking skills. So all your remembering and understanding and applying is useless till, you know, the focus is on HOTS. I'm not saying it, he said it, and we follow this gentleman's words rather seriously, right? Okay. Now, you know, we often wonder when we are teaching in the classroom or when we create questions, whether they are long questions, short questions, MCQs, what are the kind of stems that we need to get our hands on? So I've given you in the description below, I've given you a lot of links which you can access to have a look at these stems, right? You choose which ones you want. Some of them overlap, but they're different sites. I've given you the links. Now, why are these important? These are important because when you're teaching in the classroom, right, these are the stems you would use to ask questions, because these stems will make the child think critically, right? So I have not touched on the remembering, understanding, and application. You can have a look at the links. I've straight away begun from analyzing. So that's your level 4. Why am I showing you all this in a video about MCQs? Because, these could very well be the stems of the options that you're going to create, right? So for example, why did etc changes occur, or what evidence can you find, or what conclusions can you draw about? Don't think that this is literature and this sounds very scientific. No, nothing. Okay, what motive does dash have when he or she does so and so? Look at that. They'll have to analyze. It cannot just be going back to the text and very quickly thinking back on what you've learned. All right. So in that sense, analyzing stems, you have evaluating stems here for you. Judge the value of, what do you think of? Just the value of XYZ act done by a character. Okay. What are the alternatives to a certain kind of action taken by a character? How would you determine how effective were the measures taken by an XYZ character? Okay, so you are evaluating. Look at the kind of thinking the child will have to go through for this, right? Okay. Then the creating stems, my very favorite. These are the kind of long questions, stems that are there in the long questions. So, I'm sure you can utilize those. I'm just showing them to you, right? I would, as an item writer, create an MCQ stem for creating as well, but we'll do that in another session where I'll show you the different designs of MCQs, right? Okay, here you go. Now, so much, and this is what happens to our brains. I'm sure this is this is exactly what's going to be the reaction of our students' brains, were we to give it a expression. So we as teachers need to understand what is the process that really goes behind assimilating these HOTS, right? So this is important now, because you are all going to evolve to great MCQ creators or item writers. Okay, now, when the child is reading, the content is either primarily from within the text, or the child will have to draw upon outside knowledge, right? Either of the two, yeah? Because when we talk extrapolation, even in our text, that is what it means, right? Now, just be very careful when you're looking at this, right? So from the text, the child could either retrieve the information, form a broad understanding, develop an interpretation. Remember your blooms, I'm showing you exactly that in a different way. When it comes to drawing upon outside knowledge in combination with the text, it's basically about reflecting and evaluating, right? So either the evaluation is on the content or it is on the form. All right, on the form of whatever you're giving. I'll show you the examples. All right, so this becomes remembering, this is understanding. Okay, this is applying but overlapping with analysis, and then this is clearly evaluation, right? So we need to remember. Now I'm going to be showing you this as I sort of proceed to give you examples. All right, what goes on in the mind when the child is sort of attempting to comprehend questions, whether they are lower order or whether they are higher order? So there is information that is already there in the text or in the learner's knowledge bank. This information is accessed and retrieved, so the child remembers. This remembering helps in understanding. All right, now this understanding can be broken down into parts for closer examination. A closer examination will lead to interpretation because now you'll start analyzing. So you will develop an interpretation. When information is interpreted, it results in collection of evidence. Obviously, remember what I told you, you're being the detective here, okay? The collection of evidence creates ground for analyzing the content and the form. This can also be overlapped with evaluating. And analysis of the content allows evaluation. So if you expect that you're going to do what you do in the classroom and just train them to get information from the text and suddenly expect that they'll be able to evaluate, it won't happen. It won't happen because you've skipped all these steps. So we need to make that we are giving them different kinds of stimuli in the classroom so that, you know, they get used to thinking that way. One of the main purposes of including these kind of MCQs in the paper is, you know, because the academics wanted a direct impact on the pedagogical practices in the classroom. Can't come to class, lecture, and say, okay, underline, this is where the answer is, and that is it. So you know, discussing, having these question stems to ask them leading questions, getting them to think that way, that is what is going to make them proficient with this, right? Now, I'm going to show you a stimulant, okay? That's the part that is going to be used to tell you that one little piece can provide all levels of questions, right? So these are all MCQs, these are all MCQs, all right? So I've just taken a random piece, okay? Because we are not talking texts here per se. We are just telling you about MCQs and HOTS, right? We'll do it with examples in the coming parts. Now, this is what it is. We forget that we are creators of technology. AI by itself is not looking to destroy humanity. We can't wash our hands off it and question whether AI can destroy humanity as though we have nothing to do with it. Whether we use AI to augment ourselves, create a new species, or use it to destroy lives and what we have built is entirely in our hands, at least for now. So now this is the piece. Don't worry. I'll be pasting this piece everywhere for you to sort of have a ready reference, okay? Now, let's remember that these are the different kinds of levels that we are looking at, all right? Now, this is our stimulant, all right? Now, my question is, remember I told you there'll be questions at every level from this little piece, just telling you that it depends which level you want to take that piece to. Okay, here you go. Who holds the power of decision about the future of AI according to the text? Very clear. Look at this. It's right here. Is entirely in our hands, at least for now. So entirely in our hands, only humans, right? And what from this is it? Is it an interpretation? Is it understanding, or is it just simply retrieving information? Yeah, you're right. It's just simply retrieving information. And when we get a question like this, we like, oh, wow, what a nice question. It is undoubtedly, but please remember the level that you're placing at is just remembering. That means direct picking. Okay, it's not a quality question in terms of checking the competency of the child, right? Look at another one, same piece. Let me show you another one. Okay, the emergence of artificial intelligence could mean 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so, but the actual choices are only one statement is true. They're not saying which statement. They're not saying which statement. Only one statement is true. 2 statements are true. 3 statements are true. All are true. Okay, so the answer is all are true because all these 4 things are possible if with the emergence of artificial intelligence. Okay, birth of dangerous creatures, 100%. You know, I mean, they could be mechanical or they could be androids or whatever you might call it, and it all is given here. Yet You have moved a little ahead, so it's a broader understanding of what they are saying. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, this is again for a broad understanding. It looks like a complex question, but the competency is still understanding. We are still at lots. We have not moved to HOTS at all yet. Okay, so pick the option that correctly debates the given statement. AI can lead to destruction. It's not a human thing and glitches are possible. So somebody is saying this, and the question is, please debate the given statement, pick the option. So you've shown the options, okay? So each option is seemingly an answer to this, but which is the right option that debates this particular statement? Now look at the grandeur of the question, right? I mean, it's an MCQ, but at the end of the day, it is just broad understanding because the answer is directly taken from here. It's there, it's embedded here. It is not critical thinking per se. It is just understanding. If you've understood this, you will get this answer because you will say that the other three are not possible as answers, right? Let's go to the next one. Again, the same piece. Remember, I told you that you will get all levels from the same piece. I have done this in several trainings and I have been given to believe that it's quite an eye-opener for the people who've attended this training, right? Okay. Now, for the possibility of AI-related destruction, the writer is clearly, look at this, shifting accountability, holding humans, releasing humans, declaring. You remember when we did the do's and don'ts, I said follow structure. Look at that, all ing. So we need to remember these things as well. So what's the answer? Yeah, holding humans primarily responsible. And this is clearly an interpretation. Clearly an interpretation because you have to read the whole piece to get this focus of the writer's writing, right? So that is the answer. Let's go on to the next one. Now we've moved to a higher order. Even the previous one was of a higher order, but still, here you go. Next one, further higher up, okay? What are the solutions to make AI more human friendly? Now, the solutions aren't given here. They aren't given here, but they do stem from this piece because they say that it's possible it might sort of destroy lives. So the item writer has created a question that what are the solutions to make AI more human friendly? And they've given the options and they've asked 1 and 2 are true, 1 and 4 are true, 3 and 4 are true, 2 and 4 are true. So the answer is 2 and 4, 2 and 4. Okay, creating new species is not going to make it human friendly. Okay, just waiting and watching and being complacent is not going to. So include more people in its development, collaboration, and to have control over its creations. Otherwise, there is an issue that might happen. So now this is, you are reflecting and evaluating the content. All right, so you've taken the bar higher. Okay, now another one, the tone of the text. Is there an answer to the tone of the text? No, but you as a reader are supposed to comprehend the tone. It's there in your syllabus objectives. You have to train the children to comprehend the writer's purpose and tone. You are teaching literature. Don't we do this? Right? So the question is, the tone of the text could be labeled as critical, appreciative, apprehensive, ironical. And then you have the options. These are all multiple MCQs. We've done this in our previous videos, right? So the answer is D. It's certainly not appreciative and certainly not ironical. It would have been ironical had the machines or computers taken over from the humans. You know, the creator becomes the created sort of. So yes, it is also an evaluation of the content, right? We need to remember that. And coming to, see, I'm giving you layered HOTS over here, okay? Same piece, pick the central idea, very popular. Very popular question. Pick the central idea of the paragraph that is likely to precede this text. Now, that's not very popular. So pick the central idea of a paragraph that is likely to precede. It's going to be before this. So only if you've understood this and you can evaluate it, would you know what will come before. So the new world and AI, uses of AI in medicine and astronomy, certainly not. Anticipating issues as AI grows, maybe, because we have talked about issues. Making AI feel safe for all, doesn't seem like it. So in all likelihood, C. Look at how how the child is probably going to evaluate, right? And that's where the HOTS element comes in. Now, this was again on the content. Okay, let's have a look at this one. It's probably the last one. Pick the option that lists the product likely to showcase the given text. Now, I'm going to show you 4 products. Now, you will tell me in which of the products is this text likely to find a place. Okay, so is it going to be there in a magazine about educational toys? Is this paragraph going to be there in a magazine about educational toys, latest software? Is it going to be there in a pamphlet outside a photocopy shop? Is it going to be there in a comic strip? Or is it going to be there in a blog that is titled Pause to Think? Okay, so this is more like an articles piece, right? So will it be there in a magazine about educational toys? Because they are questioning AI. Not likely. It goes against it. Is it going to be in a pamphlet outside a photocopy shop? Why? Why would it be there in a pamphlet? Does it look like pamphlet material? Not at all. Is it going to be in a comic strip? Certainly not. There's nothing comic strippy about it. It might be in a blog, and look at the title, Pause to Think. Okay, so this is the answer, 100%. And this is what we call evaluating the form. What is the design of the piece that the child is reading? Okay, different forms. All these are also forms. Comic strip, article, okay, a speech draft, a letter, a pamphlet, a blog. Is it from a chat forum? Does it sound like correspondence? Is it poster material? Is it sloganish? All these are forms. So therefore, that is the answer. Now, what did we do? We did all the levels from this little piece of maybe 80 words. So we have no excuse saying that how do we sort of attempt creating HOTS? You can. I've shown them to you. All right. Just remember these aspects that I've told you, right? All right. As a facilitator in the classroom, when I'm concluding, this is the tip that I can give you. Do not answer student questions right away. The main goal is to make them think, especially now when you're doing revision. Give them time to find answers on their own. Have them work in pairs and groups. It's extremely important. Even when you're doing it online, please have breakout rooms. Definitely, it's going to work very well for revisions. Ask and encourage open-ended questions. I've shared the links of the Bloom's question stems here in this video with you. You will also be the model they will copy, because if you're going to ask those kind of questions, they will align their thinking. They're very smart. Our children are very, very smart. It might surprise you. They'll take to this like fish to water. Okay, let's give them the opportunity to do so. All right. Okay. Allow them to ask questions to you and their classmates, which is why this is important. Help students with their task by providing scaffolding. Prompt them with the right kind of stimulus. Okay, and they'll pick up. Encourage students to think in a new way, to see associations, to see relationships. We did this over here. Do you think there's the same concept being applied over here? They're going to love you for it. They will love you for it. Okay. So I guess this is all for today, today's video here. Yeah, look at this, stress-free, very happy. That's your student's brain. Yeah, you saw the state it was in earlier. So now, don't forget the next video in the series is going to be MCQs and HOTS, but we are going to be doing focus areas for creating MCQs. What are the focus areas that you as a teacher of English would need to sort of attack to create that MCQ? Okay, which type am I going to create? Which type am I going to? So I'm going to show you those focus areas with examples. I may not be able to do all the areas in one video, so we'll probably take two odd areas in each video and we'll do it, right? And that's a promise. This will, we're going to start tomorrow itself. So for now, stay safe, stay empowered, always stay empowered, your teachers, and keep rocking.